to Online Darts, everyone. We're here in Copenhagen, in between sessions. First of all, Webby, good World Series so far.
I've enjoyed it, yeah. I think it's been timed well. I say timed well in terms of obviously a quick turnaround from the Worlds, but I think it's just good to get players back playing, and particularly for ones that are disappointing Worlds, or Michael Smith had a great Worlds, the dream you want to carry on, and yeah, I've enjoyed the both of them. I think the players have played well, and the qualifiers, whilst we haven't had any winners from the qualifiers, I think they've acquitted themselves okay.
Go back to the Worlds. We spoke before the final. What a final it was, up there. Like, I'm not going to go as far as to say it was the greatest game of all time, but it's certainly one of the best we've seen.
Had the greatest moment of all time for me. I mean, you could disagree with me, but I thought that leg between the pair of them was incredible. I think they're just two likeable lads who you like watching. They play quick, and I think they'll have some ding dongs throughout the year. And yeah, it was a great final. Obviously disappointed for Michael Van Gerwen, because you'd probably argue he's the best player last year. But it's Michael Smith who he had a lot of heartbreak. You don't begrudge him that, and yeah, credit to him. World #1. Michael Van Gerwen will come again, though, I'm sure.
One of those ones you look at it, but Michael Van Gerwen was probably the best player across the tournament, but on the night, Michael Smith was the best player.
Yeah, well, the best players don't always win the events. You've just got to time your push. You'd argue Michael Van Gerwen wasn't the best player at the World Match Play, but he came good towards the end. That's what the top players do, and yeah, credit to Michael Smith. He's found that extra gear in his game, because he very much used to win games when they're on his turns, but he can win now when he's having to scrap, when he's having to battle. And no, credit to Michael Smith. Michael Van Gerwen, the pair of them, I thought they conducted themselves well throughout the tournament, and it was the right final. They were the best two players, and they served up a treat.
Looking ahead to 2023, so some big ones coming up. First of all, Masters is on the horizon. What are you expecting from the Masters? Because some players have been away on holiday, we've not seen them so much. The ones that have played in the World Series, are they perhaps going to be sharper than the others?
Who knows? We'll soon see, won't we? And obviously the format, you've got the 8-seeded players. We always say that, they get the extra. Forget that. These are top players, and the top 24 players in the world. I'm looking forward to do like the Masters. So it gives you a little taste, and it's become very important the last few years. And obviously two of my best mates have won it the last couple of years, so I've enjoyed watching it. So yeah, I look forward to it. I won't be working on it, so I'll just be sort of watching it in the background. But no, I do like the event, and it kick-starts, it rolls into the Premier League, and suddenly then the season's up and running.
Is there a case for the Masters to go from 24 to 32 and rank it? Because a lot of players, you hear them, the argument, there's too much unranked stuff. So to add another 8 to the Masters doesn't seem over the top, and then you could rank it because you can say the criteria is top 32 are in.
Yeah, in my head you say, yeah, do that, but obviously, the PDC, the guys behind the scenes, there's more to it than that. There's the TV coverage, so it's not as simple as that. I'm sure if it was doable, they'd do it. You probably will at some point, but yeah, it's definitely a case, and yeah, possibly could be ranked, but I still think there's a lot out there ranked. I think it's more the players who win the event or do well in the event. I didn't get any rank, but you're still getting paid well, and it's just the way it goes. You've got to time your runs if you want to get those rankings, and look, it's still financially viable. It's still a great event, and all the players want to be in it.
Looking at it, there's some question marks around some players going into the Masters that maybe need a reaction from the Worlds, and two that spring to mind straight away is James Wade and Gary Anderson. What are you expecting from the pair? Do you think between the Worlds and now they've gone away and actually hit the board? Because we know they're two that don't really do a lot normally away from it.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, James Wade did an article on social media, said he'd been practicing hard. I hope that's true, because he stacks of ability. I spoke to James years ago when I was in the same stable. He's never a big fan of the Worlds. He doesn't like the set format, so he'd be disappointed the way he went out to Jim Williams. But by the sounds of things, he's been digging in. He plays Callum Ridds, a game I'd expect him to win that game. But yeah, opportunity knocks to the pair. Gary Anderson, Dimitri Vandenberg in the first round. What a game that is! And that's the kind of time maybe Gary needs to say, look, I've still got something to prove. But he's got to prove it now. The likelihood is that neither of them are going to be in the Premier League, so that frees up some time to practice. And James does try and play everything. Gary hasn't. James tries to play the European events. Gary doesn't. Maybe he needs to look at that. But it's just entirely up to them, isn't it? They're self-employed players. They do what they want. But I still think they've got a lot to offer.
Do you think that the motivation from Gary is to go and prove himself again?
Well, in his interview after the game against Raspberry, he seemed fired up. But it was nice to hear him say he was hurt when he missed the Grand Slam, because normally you're like, hey, Gary, I wasn't bothered. I said, no, it was refreshing to hear that it hurt him not qualifying for that. I don't blame him not going in the qualifier, but yeah, it would be good to see a reaction from him. But it'd be good to see him just play everything, because he's got the ability. He's proved it in spells at the Worlds, but yeah, he's ranked now outside the top 20, which is kind of unheard of for Gary Anderson. But we'll see what we get from him.
You touched on it together the Premier League in and around has gone hand in hand with the Masters over the last few years. What's your general thought? Do you think we'll get an announcement pre-Masters, or do you think the Masters will have some relevance in this year's Premier League?
I think they're going to leave something for the Masters just to see if, I'm not saying the winner gets in. I think a certain winner might help them cause, but look, for example, some of the players who are ranked who are not in the equation, Stephen Bunting, Callum Ridge, they went on and won it. I don't think there's an argument for them to be in the Premier League. I know that might be the case, but I think they're going to leave it a little bit. But we're getting closer now, aren't we? We're less than a fortnight away. But look, it's coming, isn't it? We're going to get the announcement, and then those players will provide the entertainment for 17 weeks.
We spoke at the Worlds about the Premier League, and we can all get caught up in what Gabriel Clements did in those huge TV numbers that we saw. Do you think now, with time to reflect, he's a genuine contender for the Premier League, or was that maybe just a bit getting caught up in the moment?
No, caught up in the moment. Not for me. I don't pick the Premier League, do I? But not for me. If I was picking it, I wouldn't put him in. He was amazing at the Worlds, and I was glad for it because he's a good guy, and it's about time he played like that because we know he can do it. But it certainly puts him in a position, if he does that again next year, to be in the Premier League. But look, what he did was great. It was great viewing figures in Germany, and it was just great to see him play like that. He's promised a lot over the last few years. There's a lot of pressure being a top player in Germany because a lot of expectancy, and he dealt with it really well. But for me, no, maybe not the Premier League this year.
You changed your mind? I'm not going to ask you for a name, but do you still think that last position, in your opinion, is between your two best mates?
Yeah, look, I think they're in the mix. I don't think it's just between them two, but yeah, we'll see. Obviously, Johnny and Joe. Yeah, I mean, ideally, I'd like the pair of them in there, but look, it is what it is. If you don't finish in the top four, it's out of your hands, and that's. It's up to the PDC, and they generally get it right. There'll be some disappointment because they're going to leave some players out, but it is what it is. If you don't get in, get knuckled down. We've seen James Wade, for example. He's missed it a few times. Generally, puts himself back in the mix the year after. So sort of take that attitude. Right, I'm not in. I'll have a little rant, but then let's get on with it and get myself ready and get myself in a position where I can't be overlooked the year after.
Increased prize money in the Euro Tour coming up as well. However, with that, bigger fines as well for late pullouts. And are you glad that's kind of being addressed, because last year there was way too many buys through late pullouts on the Euro Tour?
Yeah, so look, some of them are genuine. Some people get ill, but it's fine. But some of it was, just out of a bit of laziness, and it's obviously players who are quite comfortable with their income. And I think it's a good decision because I work on those European tours. It can upset the draw, and I know each player's in charge of their own destiny, but it can just make the draw a bit unbalanced at times. And you want to see a full allocation of players in any event, don't you? So I think that's a good move. And look, some of the players are quite wealthy. Whether the fines will put them off, who knows? But it's a good step from the PDC for me.
As well, you're working on the seniors coming up as well. Are you excited for the second rendition of it? And obviously some big news that Duzza and Scott Mitchell now.
Yeah, good additions, sensible additions. I hope Glenn can sort of get himself back playing again. I think he's fallen out of love with the game. I've chatted with him properly actually, and I think it'll help him. I hope he doesn't put too much pressure on himself. Just play some darts and enjoy. Scott Mitchell, obviously, he's playing all right on the Challenge Tour. I think he's up to runner-up yesterday, so he's a good addition as well. But no, yeah, it was a good event. I got to go to the Circus Tavern last year, and I really enjoyed it. And a stronger field this year, it's got to be said. And look forward to it.
Just before we wrap up, 2023, what are you expecting, or what are you hoping for happens?
Hoping that Joe and Johnny share all the titles, but no, it's. Look, I'm expecting Michael Van Gerwen to win more titles, Michael Smith to carry on, Gedwin Price to come back. He's already starting here. He may win this event because he's looking pretty impressive, Gezi. Peter Wright to sort of dig himself out, and some new Josh Rock to keep emerging. I'd love to see how Ross Smith development go, and obviously Johnny and Joe, they had good years last year. Joe in particular. Johnny, look, he should have won more. After the 2021 is a poor 2022, but keep an eye on my mates. But I enjoy watching the games, and I'm looking forward to seeing more battles with Michael Smith, Michael Van Gerwen. Got to admit, I like watching them go at it, but it'll be an exciting year, and surprises all the way through, I'm sure.
Lovely, pleasure as always, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.